The third group of real estate investment strategies fall into this category that I call the builder developer plays. And the first strategy in this category is the pre-construction investment strategy. That is when you buy a property directly from a builder as a real estate investor, and you're buying it on paper today with the intention to actually get the keys and occupy it in a couple of years and potentially more when that property is ready. Between now and the time this property is ready, you are giving the builder installment deposits based on their deposit schedule. And ideally, by the time it's done, it's worth more than what you purchased it for, although there are no guarantees whatsoever that that will be the case because, as we all know, real estate is cyclical. There are two common financing mistakes that investors of pre-construction properties encounter. The first one is what I refer to as the approval illusion. And the second one is the instant refinance myth. Let's talk about each. What's the approval illusion? Well, here's the thing. While the property is being built, the majority of the lenders on the street are not going to give you a mortgage until that property is actually ready. What they can do for you is to give you a pre-approval. And an approval is actually very different from an actual mortgage commitment that says that the lender will definitely fund this property once it's done. All a pre-approval does for you is give you some sort of a comfort level that you qualify for the loan amount you're looking for when the time comes and when that property is ready for occupancy. But when the time comes and you're going for that mortgage, your income has to stand, your credit has to stand, the property value has to stand, and everything has to fall in place as per the conditions listed on that pre-approval. So that pre-approval document, while it gives you an idea that you would qualify, it doesn't really guarantee that you're gonna get a mortgage on closing. The best way to deal with this risk, which is where your strategic tip and pro tip come in, is to seek a mortgage approval from the lender that is on site, on the builder side, because that lender has given a builder a loan to actually build the unit that you're buying. And that lender is familiar with the project. So that lender may be willing to give you, the client or the buyer, an actual mortgage approval. And by doing so, you get the peace of mind that when the time comes, you have a mortgage approval at hand. Again, the value has to hold, but at least, if your income situation changes, if your credit changes, you still have an approval at hand. Very, very few lenders on the street would do this, primarily the lenders that are on the builder's side. The second mistake is the instant refinance myth. Here's the thing. When you buy a pre-construction unit, ideally, that unit would be worth more by the time you close, by the time it's ready. So ideally, the value would be higher than the purchase price. And we know that all lenders on the street are going to give you a mortgage based on the lower of the two. So if your purchase price is below the value, appraised value, you're gonna get a mortgage on the purchase price. If your purchase price is above the value because the market has shifted and because there are no guarantees that the value will actually be higher, then the lender is gonna give you a mortgage on the value and you're gonna have to come up with the difference. Now, under a situation where the value is higher, many real estate investors ask the question of whether or not they can tap into this value on the day of closing. And the answer is no. Even though the value may be higher, again, the lender is going to lend you on the lower of the purchase price compared to the value. So on the day of closing, you cannot tap into this value with 99.9% of the lenders. However, there is one bank on the street that is actually willing to do so. So if you want to explore such an option, reach out to our team at Streetwise Mortgages through the link in the description, and we can see if you qualify to fund with such a lender. And that obviously helps you, because if your property is worth more, then you can cover a lot of your closing costs and potentially get some money back in your pocket. But with most lenders, they won't do it. Therefore, my recommendation is to always take a variable rate mortgage at the time of closing. At the time you're getting a mortgage, take a variable rate mortgage. And then 6 months later, you can explore options to refinance the property if it's worth more and get that extra money out of it. Now, if your property is worth less at the time of closing, and in some markets, real estate values have shifted, then you are going to have to come up with the shortage of the difference. And as a strategy, we either look at equity in your other properties to see if we can cover that shortage, or there are some builders on the street that will give you a vendor take back, and that will help you offset the shortage. Either way, if you're looking to set up financing on a pre-construction, we are happy to help you here at Streetwise Mortgages. But these are your strategic and pro tips.